Litecoin and Bitcoin update. What's up, guys? Crypto Savvy here with your daily update. We're going to take a quick look at Litecoin, quick look at Bitcoin, and then at the end of the video, if you stick around, I'm going to compare the gold versus Bitcoin again and talk a little bit about the market cycle, human psychology, and human emotion, and tell you where I think we're at in the market. And again, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just my opinion on the market. But I do want to share that with you guys, and then if you give me feedback and let me know what you guys think of it, I'd appreciate it. All right, guys, as always, I want to start out by saying I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion and my view of the market only. Anybody that's doing any trading or any investing in this market, I suggest you do your own due diligence and your own research, as this market can be extremely volatile and risky. It is still a spectator's market, so keep that in mind, guys. All right. If you haven't already or you're new here and you like the content of this video, please hit the subscribe button on the lower right-hand side of the screen. Tick the little notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos. Smash those likes, give it a giant thumbs up, and leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, let's get into the charts. So I had this target here at 56 that we've obviously hit, and we've been trying to get above. And I do have a blue line here. You can't really see it because our price line's on there, but this support and resistance line right here at around the 56.10, 56.04 actually, and we're getting support on that now. Not to say, guys, that we don't come back down and test the top of this channel here for support and then possibly get a bounce up, but we do have to watch here. If we do drop below this, I believe we'll continue on down to, you know, these support and resistance here, which are 42.50, 41.30, and 40 or 39.62 area. But I do believe if we do come back down, you know, we'll get support off of either the 39.62 or 41.10 at the worst case scenario. But I do see us going up before that, guys, to get some of these higher targets. We're going to take a look at how I got these. Obviously, if you guys have been watching my videos, you know how I got the 56 by measuring this flagpole, bringing it up to the breakout, and it brought us up here. Now I'm going to show you real quick where I come up with the $60 range there. And we would measure from the breakout here to the top of this flagpole. And then if you look here, there was a little bull flag. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it. And we go up to the top of that bull flag where we broke out. And that gets me to the $60 range. And that's how I come up with that target, which I still believe we're going to reach here, guys. And the other target is from measuring the channel from where we broke out to the bottom of the channel. And then we move the breakout up here. And guys, I like to keep this simple. And it's just, I think a lot of people overcomplicate analyzing these markets with all the indicators and that. I don't use a lot of indicators. I do use my EMAs, my RSI, trend line, support and resistance, and some Fibonacci, but that's really about it. I think everything else is just noise, and it changes. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, some people do all right with it, but I do watch in some Discord groups and stuff where there's so many opinions flying around that I don't know how anybody can learn when you got 10 different people saying 10 different directions and how they got it, and just seems really confusing to me. So I like to keep it simple, and so far so good. Now right here I'm going to show you how I got up to this higher target, the 69, and that's just a simple measured move off of this bull flag pole where we broke out. And then if you look at this, there's a bull flag right here that we haven't dropped down below. We're still breaking out of that, and put that up to where we broke out, and that's what gets me right around that $69 range, $68 $69 range. So those are still my targets where I'm looking at before we have a correction back down, guys. But like I said, we do have to keep an eye out for the top of this channel to get broke, and then the bottom, of course. If we were to break the bottom of the channel, say we broke it over here somewhere on one of these support and resistance lines, you know, then we'd be looking down towards the $23 $24 range, and that's the bearish case scenario right now. But honestly, guys, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to go test these highs up here. I'm going to go into the, well, let me zoom in real quick and kind of look at what's going on in the daily real quick, and then we'll go to the RSI. I hope you guys are following along. I know it's kind of hard to follow along, and it's kind of hard to make these videos too. It takes some time to try to remember everything, but doing the best I can, and I hope it's helping you guys out. So here's the 200 EMA coming down, and I have my 8, my 13, and my 21 coming up, and the 55 down here. Now this, we've had our 8, our 13 both cross the 200 EMA. Next is the 21 EMA here, and that looks like it's getting real close to cross. And if this does cross, guys, that's going to be pretty bullish, and that's what's going to send us up to these next targets, in my opinion. And then, like I said, we may have a correction back down and possibly test the top of this channel somewhere over in this range, you know, where we old support, new resistance range, somewhere in here. I haven't really worked on that yet. It's kind of far away, so I'll worry about that later. Let's go into the RSI and kind of look at what's going on. I had this rising wedge drawn in the RSI where you can see we've got support, or I'm sorry, resistance. See, that's what I'm talking about with making videos. It's hard sometimes to catch yourself when you make mistakes. But then this bottom one, we had support, broke through kind of a little bear trap, and then bounce back up. And I do believe, you know, this could be like a bull flag in the RSI also, getting us to move up from here. Now let's go into the 4 hour. Take a look at what's going on here. I know these are goofy lines here that I had this symmetrical triangle drawn where we popped out, back up in, got support off the top, or resistance off the top, broke back through support, come back up, broke through the resistance, and we're coming back down. And now, as you can see, we're down below this line a little bit. I do believe we're going to break back up. But again, guys, I could be wrong, and we continue down from here. But if we do, it should be pretty soon and pretty hard, being we're already broke through this resistance in the RSI. All right, I'm going to move on to Bitcoin, guys. And just a reminder, if you haven't already and you like the content, please subscribe, tick the notification bell, smash the thumbs up, and leave your comments. Let me know what you think. All right, looking at the falling wedge here on Bitcoin in the daily. And remember, guys, we're going to talk about Bitcoin versus gold at the end. Pretty interesting. Talk a little bit about market cycles and psychology. Going to take a look at the higher targets first. And that's only if we break this white trend line coming down, which would be resistance on that falling wedge. Personally, I think there is a pretty decent chance, you know, there's no guarantees, but I'm going to watch this area really closely when we get towards this white line. So doing the measured moves off of this symmetrical triangle I had drawn here that we've popped up out of over here, came back down, tested for support, and continuing on up. So we do a measured move off of the longest point of the triangle where we had the touch, and moving that to where we broke out initially would be right here, and that brings us around the $5,000 range. That's where I get that target, guys. And also, if it was bearish and we were to break through this bottom trend line, that would bring us down into the $2,400 range, which would also be the bottom of this falling wedge. So keep that in mind, guys. That is always possible. That's why we need to keep an eye on our trend lines when we draw them, and our support and resistance lines, which are my blue lines here. Also, I do have a yellow one down here for double bottom, which was where I do believe we've hit our lows. And again, guys, I could be wrong. I'm not a financial advisor. So yeah, that's where I got those two, the $5,000 range in that one. And now I have another target up here around the 5250 range, which would be between the 5200 and 5300 range. And if you look at this, 4179 was a neckline here if we had an atom and an eve, and we would measure the atom from the neckline down to the bottom and put it up on the neckline up here to where he broke out, and that's what gets me to that higher range up there. So we could also measure this too if you looked at this as a cup and a handle, and if we broke out of the handle, that would get us around the $5,000 range. So that's two of them, you know, to watch for in the $5,000 range, and I'll show you that real quick. Yeah, so that gets us right around the $5,000 range also. And if we did get up to these higher targets, guys, that would get us above the 200 EMA here, where I believe we would probably come back down and test it for support and hopefully continue on up from there. But like I said, that's kind of far away. We got to look at these targets first, see what's going on. I'm going to go into the RSI and take a look at what's going on in the daily here. The same thing, I had drawn this trend right here that was starting to look like a ascending wedge, but if you see, we did get support off it here, and then we broke through, and I have a channel drawn here with the dotted lines on the bottom and the solid line on top. Now it looks like we're, you know, trying to test this again. If we do break above that, we may be getting a nice run up, guys. If not, then we'll probably continue down and test the bottom of the channel again, and either from there break through the channel or get some support and come back up. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hours, same thing. You know, this could be a bull flag forming here. We come up to test the top of this again, and if we break through, obviously it, you know, we would have a nice movement up. So now let's look at how I got the smaller targets in here. And we'll take a quick look at that, and then we'll move on to compare Bitcoin to gold. I really like that Bitcoin compared to the gold chart. It's telling me a lot. I mean, you guys got to remember that human psychology and human emotion never changes. So, but anyways. All right, so we're looking at the targets here, and how I had the 4,000 range target was I measured this flagpole down here up to the top, and what it looked to been a bull flag there, and we popped out. That got me to the $4,100 range. And we get out of this real quick. That out of there. But this $4,000 range I got from measuring this bull flagpole from the breakout to here, and I thought this was a bull flag right here. You could see it pointing down here, and then move that up to there, and that's where I got the $4,000 range, guys. So I'm still looking at that as a target. You know, we could come up here, touch that, which would get us up to the falling wedge trend line. So I'm definitely still looking at that. Also, we could do a move off of this right here and call this a flagpole up to the top, and could be forming a bull flag right here. And if we were to break out of that bull flag, that would get us up into the $4,000 to $4,100 range, which if that move's going to happen, I would expect that to happen within today sometime, maybe overnight or in the morning, to get us up to this target. Now, once we get up there, depending on what it does, you know, we could start a correction directly from there, or we could create another bull flag or bull pennant and continue on up from there to the higher targets. This would be, you know, considered the double top area. 40. Let me get rid of one of these. The 41.79 range. Actually, our last top was at 41.89, but somewhere in this range, if we did get up here, guys, I believe we're going to be outside of this white line. So that pulls us out of there, and then we would be, you know, may get a correction back on down to, you know, 39.70 area or somewhere in there. Or, you know, we could travel all the way back down and test this bottom. This is the bottom of the symmetrical triangle, which also I believe will be the bottom of our long-term trend line. You know, we may come back down and touch over here around the, you know, could be over here, the top, where the top of the symmetrical triangle meets. And, you know, that's around the 35.50 range. Now, guys, if we go below this bottom trend line, then I'm looking at the more bearish scenarios. But until then, I'm still pretty bullish here, at least up to these targets here. That's my opinion right now. This 43.50 range, this is the tip of this triangle over here, and we had obviously resistance and support, and that's a good resistance and support line. I'm actually don't know why the line's gone, but I'm going to put it back in there. Yeah, right about here. So now I'm going to move into the gold, the Bitcoin chart first, the more macro daily chart on Bitcoin. This is on Bitstamp. And if you guys haven't seen already, I drew a dotted trend line from the tip of the all-time high to where we broke down. It touched at the 6,000 range. I also did the same from the second top right here when we rallied back up after the big dump of the all-time high, right around the 1,700 range or 17,000 range, and did the same thing, ran it across to where we broke down. Now I'm going to take a look at the gold chart, which is really similar, guys. Although this is on a weekly chart, so it's over a longer time frame. But if you think about it, back when this was all happening in the 70s, 80s, 90s, we didn't have all the technology we had today. Everything's sped up. Everything's much faster. Adoption's way faster because of the internet. And now, in what I was talking about the market cycle was, they talk about, you know, the hope, the optimism, belief coming up. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but then the thrill and the euphoria of, you know, when you're up the all-time high just before the big correction down. If you remember, a lot of the analysts and, you know, the analysts were saying, you know, when it was coming back down after the all-time high, that, you know, this was just another correction, that we're going to move back up. And not all of them, but a lot of them, a whole lot of them were saying that we had, you know, another leg up to 22,000 or 25,000. And if you look at what's going on today with where we're at now, and so many people calling for 1,800, 1,500, you know, that we got another leg down, another leg down. A lot of them guys are the same person, the same people that were saying another leg up from here, guys. And that's human emotion and psychology. You know, this is total euphoria on going up, and they have euphoria on going down too, hoping to get lower prices. And I believe I'm going to share my theory of what I think is going to happen with that. And guys, you can take this with a grain of salt. This is just my theory. But it's another way to look at it. If you want, you know, bearish scenarios, go watch every other channel pretty much. And you can get your bearish scenario. So I'm going to give you a bullish one here. This is the gold market. And as you can see, I had the solid yellow trend line, long-term trend line drawn on the bottom. I did the same yellow trend line from the second peak, and the same from the all-time high, put the white dotted line. And then if you look where they crossed over here, where we crossed out of all those, it started a huge bull market. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to start a huge bull market right now in Bitcoin. But what I am saying is that this market is, this gold market looked a lot, very, very similar to it. And if you pay attention, everybody's talking about getting a big capitulation candle. There was no big capitulation candle in this gold market at all when it bottomed. And that was a bottom from, you know, an all-time high. And there was no capitulation candles that everybody's talking about. So capitulation can just be, you know, a sell-off and then no sellers left. And that goes on to my next thing, where I was talking about human emotion and everybody thinking that was end. If you look at this chart, it's very similar. And even the bottom out is very similar. Now, what I believe is, you know, this was our capitulation right here. Again, guys, this is just my opinion and my theory. not financial advice. But I do believe it was here, and all the sellers are sold because they're waiting for lows down here in the 2200 and, you know, sub 3000 range. They're waiting for them lows. So all them people are holding on to their coins, just waiting and waiting. And the others that are still selling off, I believe, are getting bought up. Again, this is just my opinion, but bought up by the big guys. Once we break this $4,700 range, which would be the 200 EMA, if we do come up, actually it'll be more down in here, 45 to 4,300 range if we gradually move up. But and in the market cycle, if we look over here where the panic and then the anger and then the depression stage and then the disbelief suckers rally, right? Well, that's what I believe that we're starting to get into now, is the suckers rally. Even though I do believe it's possible we come down for one more touch. Like I said, around the, maybe the $3,500 range, that we come $35 to $35.50. We come down for another touch and then go back up. And I still believe that that's the phase where everybody's going to think it's a sucker rally. And until we get to a point, which could be all the way up to the $6,000, $6,500 range, you know, somewhere in there where people start believing and they start buying back in, because those are the same people that are waiting on that lower low that, in my opinion, I don't think is coming. Again, guys, I could be dead wrong on this. I just wanted to share my opinion on it. And yeah, that's my opinion. And I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button or the Crypto Savvy logo above my head. That'll get you subscribed. Tick the notification bell to get you notified when I post videos. Smash those likes and leave comments. Let me know what you think, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.